Hey there, I'm Lee Ullman here with some big news from the National Young Farmers Coalition. We're partnering with Heritage Radio Network on a special season of The Farm Report. It's all about what's happening with the Farm Bill and how it impacts farmers and eaters.
I am growing diversified vegetables on land that's been in our family for 150 years.
And so with the pandemic, gentrification, property values going up, we had to sell the land and we lost it.
Join us as we uncover the untold stories behind this massive piece of legislation that shapes how we grow our food, what we eat, and so much more.
The problems we have had, those are things that come from earlier Farm Bill and USDA policy, right? Like Earl Butts, get big or get out.
You know, it's my responsibility to know not only what I'm eating, but then like how that all came to be. And realize like, wow, like this piece of legislation, all this money, like it's technically something that I support as a taxpayer.
While Congress debates the next Farm Bill, this is not just an invitation to listen. It's a call to action. Be part of the conversation. Subscribe to the Farm Report on Heritage Radio Network, wherever you listen to podcasts.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network. Since 2009, HRN podcasts have been exploring the wide world of food, beverage, and agriculture. Learn more at heritageradionetwork.org.
This episode is brought to you by Roberta's, home of Heritage Radio Network since 2009. Learn more about Roberta's at robertaspizza.com.
We talk about food, we talk about music, with musical dudes, finger on the pulse, snacky tunes.
Hello, welcome to Snacky Tunes. I'm your host, Darren Bresnitz. We are so excited to have an all-new episode of Snacky Tunes for you today. We are actually going all the way to Europe for both of our guests. And first up, we have our dear friend, past guest, Marianne Fabre-Lanvin, co-founder of Souleil Wine. You may remember her from when she was on a decade ago, talking about Sud de France. And we chat with her about growing up in the Mediterranean Sea, cooking with her grandma, her new wine company, and how the company is helping turn beaches cleaner and the world a little bit more delicious. And then we are going to Greece to talk with California artist Sonny and the Sunsets about his new album, Self-Awareness Through Macrame. We talk about growing up in Bolinas, California, the undercurrent of California itself, and turning ideas in the ether into art and new music. It's a great episode. We're excited that you're here with us on a Sunday or whenever you're tuning in to Snacky Tunes here on Heritage Radio Network. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Mother gave you a pink cake. She wasn't home to help you celebrate. So sad that I eat it in the cab. Think of all the cakes you've never had.
Marianne, welcome back to Snacky Tunes. I was digging into the archives and realized we had you on for the first time 10 years ago when we were babies. So welcome back.
Thank you, Darren. I'm so honored and so pleased to be invited to Snacky Tune. I love Snacky Tunes again to talk about Souleil.
Yes, and we love having you here. Now, I know you're coming from Paris, but I want to go back to where you grew up, which is this region of southern France along the Mediterranean, which sounds dreamy and idyllic. And just for as long as you want, tell me about the food and what you ate and drank growing up, because just take me there right now on an overcast gray day in LA.
Oh, yes, it will be my pleasure. Well, indeed, as you said, I grew up in southern France, in the Languedoc, around Montpellier and Narbonne, for the people who are in the know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a region with such diverse and striking natural beauty. You have salt flats, you have marshlands in the Camargue, you have sandy beaches on the coastline, on the Mediterranean, and food and wine, not as a kid, but food was at the center of everything social in my childhood. So I guess that I was first initiated from an early age by my parents, especially my grandmother, who was a fantastic cook. She would take me every Sunday to Les Halles. It's a covered market. It's one of the most beautiful markets in southern France. And we'd go and meet with all the shop owners, and we would buy all sorts of meat and vegetable and fresh seafood, and that was a dream. Then we would go back to her place and spend hours together in the kitchen. So she was giving me small jobs, but they were incredible, like getting the size of the French green beans. And other very interesting tasks. And so her specialty, the dishes that she preferred to cook, there were numerous, but of course, I can give you, like the top three. She was mastering the art of cooking cassoulet. That was so good. She was also often cooking quails with ham, and she would put juniper berries in it. Those were absolutely delicious. And she also loved cooking lentils with sausages. It's a very local dish too. You have several sorts of meat in that dish. So all of this doesn't sound very Mediterranean.
No. It sounds amazing. And I get it.
It is.
I mean, it sounds like the time and the slowness of the dish and what it takes to prepare and cook aligns with like a slower pace of life in the Mediterranean.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, there were always fresh vegetables and fruit on the table. That's a given because orchards and veggie gardens in southern France are abundant, and depending on the season, you can have amazing produce. So I'm actually going back to Narbonne this week, and I was there last week, and I had fantastic ripe figs. They were absolutely wonderful, and of course, in two colors, the green and they're violet, but I guess like black figs.
Yeah.
We call them. Very, very sweet, very aromatic. I love this season.
I love this season too. Now, I know in addition to food being a part of your growing up, that your family has also had a vineyard since the 19th century. And obviously not as a baby, but you definitely grew into the lifestyle of vintners and winemakers and things like that. What was it like to have that running through your blood? And did you realize that was something unique, or did everyone just have a vineyard when you were growing up?
It is not uncommon in southern France to have a family who who has a vineyard, of course, especially in the Languedoc, because it's the largest wine producing region in the world. Also, the leader in side note, also a leader in organic wine production. So yes, indeed, my grandparents and their parents before them had vineyards in a village called Sijan. It's beautiful. It's by the Mediterranean. And my grandfather was a doctor, so he was not the one cultivating the vineyard, but he had help, and he loved doing it. He was he loved the chemistry of winemaking, and he especially loved to make his own fortified wine with Grenache grapes. Also, my mother is a pharmacist, and she wrote her thesis in enology, a topic she truly understood. And yes, I was born into the world of wine, and I was surrounded with like objects, like wine vats and tools that you use for winemaking always. But it's only later in life that I decided to work in the wine industry. Anyway, yeah, I wanted to, finally go back to my roots, and wanted to put my knowledge and skills to good use in the communication field, promoting wine beginning, wine regions, as you know.
Yes.
Back in the day with the Sud de France office in New York, the culture of my region.
I mean, you and your co-founder Thomas actually grew up together, and you've definitely become these. I mean, I won't say unofficial, but these ambassadors to France and this Mediterranean lifestyle. Like, why do you two love shining a spotlight on this region beyond just being from there? Like, what do you think it could teach the rest of the world about how to live and its approach to life?
What I love about this region is that it is very laid back. It's very beautiful. You have a lot of pristine landscape everywhere you go. Very diverse too. As I was saying a little bit earlier, and it's away from the crowds. Also, you can be away from the crowds, because often when tourists visit France, they go to the French Riviera or Paris, naturally, Normandy and other places. They don't necessarily think of the Languedoc. It's a destination for people who are in the know, and it really deserves a visit. It's truly, truly magnificent, and you have a lot of historical sites too. It's not only nature, amazing cuisine, and also on average, it's way less expensive than the French Riviera would be. So and it's the same for the wine, and they're of equivalent quality anyway. So you're sold.
I'm sold. I mean, listen, you don't have to twist my arm to go anywhere in France. So listen, given that so much about France, and Thomas as well, you could have really picked any region. Obviously, it's a great story the way it's coming from the region that you're from, of where you're getting your grapes and the juice and everything like that. But when you started thinking about making your own wine, how much of it were you tapping into the family tradition? How much did you want to have your own innovation? What was the most important things when you two started talking about creating Souleil?
So I love the wines from southern France. I love the grape varieties from southern France. So when we decided to embark on this project, also with my husband, who's our third partner, Nicolas, we wanted to create wines that were typical from that region, but without having the constraints imposed by appellations. It's great. I think it really has like there. It is important to preserve traditions, but we wanted to be very creative with the blends. We wanted to use Mediterranean grapes, but we wanted to have our own recipe. So you can tell that they're from there, but they're our recipe. So it's sold as a vin de France. We knew we wanted to include a large proportion of Picpoul. Picpoul is one of my favorite varieties, and a match made in heaven with oysters and also shellfish. You have a lot of oyster parks in southern France. So that's for Le Blanc, our white. It also has Terre Blanc, which is a cousin of the Picpoul, and a little bit of Uni Blanc. You tasted it.
It's delicious. No, it's great.
Thank you. And yeah, it's very popular. It's very popular in the UK, Picpoul. So it's the appellation is always like sold out of these wines. I think it's having a moment. Like people are really like seeking wines made with Picpoul because it's so fresh. There's this salinity that is fantastic, and that you find in not so many wines. So then, of course, we're from southern France. We've been drinking rosé for decades, and we wanted to make the rosé we wanted to have at home. We wanted to produce our favorite rosé, and so this one is mostly Grenache Noir because we believe that it is one of the best grapes to use for rosé wine. It's juicy and we love its ripe red fruit flavors. It has a good acidity. It's refreshing, and we sold out. By the way. So that's for Le Rosé, and for Le Rouge, we wanted something fresh and versatile that you could slightly chill and either serve on its own, because it has very supple tannins, a good acidity, fruit flavors, or that you can have with a meal. Because our idea was to create a wine we would have fun with that we could drink on its own at aperitif time, for example. That's my favorite time of the day.
Mine too. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about apéro and aperitif time, and a little bit of the music that would pair well with this wine. But first, we're going to have a song from the archives here on Snacky Tunes on Heritage Radio Network. Welcome back to Snacky Tunes. We are with our good friend, Marianne Fabre-Lanvin, co-founder of Souleil Wine. And, you know, what I love about your wine and the story behind it is your obvious passion for it. And like the story it's telling is your story and Thomas's story. But story alone is not enough to launch a business. And I'd love to hear a little bit about how you took the idea of having your own wine company and turning it into reality and what those steps look like.
So it all started with Thomas. He works in wine as a worker, and he was tired of like selling other people's wine only.
Sure.
He wanted to create his own. I also had this idea in the back of my mind, and one day he called me to ask me for advice, and it all started there on on the phone. Talking about creating a new wine, a new wine brand. And that's it was a friend's project. It's a project that we wanted to have fun with. Like from the design to the blend to everything. It became a little bit more important than we thought it would be as a friend's project, because it was quite successful from the beginning, and voila. So we made it work, but we learned so many things. It was really a crash course,
Give me one of the tougher lessons.
One of the tougher lessons: be patient when dealing with administration. Because especially when you make organic wines, you have to go through long processes to obtain the certifications, and there are several steps, and everything takes a lot of time. So you have to plan ahead, make sure that you take into account all the delays that you may incur because of the administration, and again, there should be a lot of control over this, because not everyone can say, "Oh, we're making organic wine," if it's not. But that was a little bit challenging. But it's been a lot of fun. One thing we did not anticipate, though, was the shortage of paper and glass caused by the pandemic, because in 2001, and that delayed the production of label, boxes, bottles. Transportation was also affected. It delayed things on the administrative side also, and that was probably the most challenging part. And voila. And I had some knowledge of wine importation and exportation procedures, and Thomas has a background in sales and distribution, but we had to start from the ground up.
Sure.
I learned the importance of patience during the pandemic, that's for sure.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned the design, and I don't want to be gauche, but like so many new wine brands, or the way people discover wine brands, like does hang their hat on the design. Like they go to a store, they have no idea what they're looking for, and they see a really great looking bottle. And you sort of, I don't want to say tapped into one of the best design firms we know, our friend Anna Polanski's firm, Polanski and Friends, which it's not a cheat because she's obviously, that's how you and I met, and she's one of the best, but definitely helps quiet some of the competition when you're looking at all the bottles on a shelf. But why did you go? Well, I mean, I know why you went to Anna, but maybe tell people who are listening why you went to her, and not just why you went to her, but what the design process was. Like, what did you want to capture in the design of it? What did you want to telegraph to people who are just knowing nothing about the wine on a shelf in a store, let's say in America or the UK?
Yes, I mean this is easy. To begin with, she's the best,
She's
so
the
there was
best.
no question that we were going to work with her. But also, she's one of my best friends, and it's a friends project. I mean, everybody is a friend in the project. So I'm doing a little digression, but our importer in the US, Robert Bradshaw, Cape Classic, is a friend. Uh,
Mm,
we have a lot of other friends involved in the. We'll talk about the charity later, but Carolina
yeah.
Sevilla from the 5 Minute Foundation is a friend also. So it's a friends thing, but yes, she's the best. So I immediately thought of her food and beverage focus design agency for the labels. The agency is called Polanski and Friends, as you know.
As I know, and I'm a fan. Yes.
And we were all super excited to work together on this because again it's a passion project. So we were drawn to images of the early 20th century, the eau de cologne labels from the 60s and
Mm,
70s. Um, with a French Mediterranean vibe found in iconic films and fashion editorials from those decades. Why, like the 70s? Well, it's a nod to the fact that we were Thomas, Nicolas, and I were born in the 70s. This is our decade.
let's go.
Yeah, exactly. So with Anna and Claire Dufournier,
Hmm.
we had a mood board in place. The graphic designer who's Claire on the project painted sun and seaside illustrations with watercolor.
Mm,
Souleil means sun in ancient French. We played off this concept showing the sun in different settings. And I was like really like brilliant, like seeing it, um, um, seeing the big picture on this. And we really wanted to create our own contemporary version of these vintage inspired designs. So, I mean, I definitely invite everybody to visit our website or our Instagram account, souleilwines.com, to take a look. And
it's
I think
beautiful.
we
Yeah.
are
I
both-
mean, I brought to a couple of parties this summer, and it just fit right in.
yeah,
Now you
yeah, they're good
mentioned
props. They're
they're
really
great props.
stable.
They're great props for the table. You're drawn to it. It's light. It's refreshing. Um, and the design and what you mentioned about the ocean also ties into your messaging, because I feel that wine brands that launch today, not just wine brands, but a lot of other CPG brands that launch, no longer just about the product themselves. It's
Yeah.
always tied to a larger message. Or the ones that I found, we just had Cafecita on the other week, which is about a women-grown coffee roaster, and they work with different roasters and female farmers who grow coffee beans all over the world. So it's like great to see that type of messaging permeate through these products that were just for a while just like they're just a product.
Yeah.
And Soleil is in that camp as well. And I know that the environment is a huge part of what you do. And a lot of people think that, well, with wine, the terroir, it's like, so working within the world of good environmentalism. That's not always the case with wine. So what did you want to say with your wine? What is the message that you're promoting, and how does it go beyond just, standing for something? I know you mentioned 5 Minute Foundation as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a long conversation, but maybe I'll start with a few words about the name. As I was saying, Soleil means sun in ancient French, but it's also the name of a music lounge on the main road. Sorry, I'll start again. It's also the name of a music lounge on the main road to the beach in Montpellier, along Route des Plages, this is what it's called, where Thomas and I often hanged out with our friends. And I really like that in the word Souleil, there is soul, which nods to the brand's philosophy of doing good, producing organic wines and helping to create awareness around the coast that resonates with us, like ocean preservation. We grew up, like near the Mediterranean. Thomas is a kite surfer. I spend a lot of time at the beach. I like sailing. So it totally made sense. It's really in our culture. And vin de bonté is a clin d'œil or reference to an ancient saying in the wine world when it means that when a grape reaches its ideal maturity, it's in plénitude de bonté. So of course, we also want to say that the wine is good. So it's, bonté means goodness, but goodness refers to the fact also that our company uses a percentage of its profits to assist organizations like the 5 Minute Foundation by sponsoring it, but also by working with our crew and our friend on the beach with this organization that implement beach cleanups. Done it with 5 Minute Foundation. It's our main partner, but we did it in New York with Jamaica Bay Park Conservancy, GBRPC, in the Rockaways in June. We did it with Reef Conservation in Mauritius in April. We have another beach cleanup next week in Montpellier, in southern France.
I'll be right there. I'm getting on the plane.
Exactly.
Right?
And we want them to be fun. So once everybody is done with the cleanup, we reward the workers with a glass or several glasses of Souleil wines.
Yeah.
In the drinking age, naturally.
Of course, which varies from country to country. And now I know at the Brooklyn cleanup, the Rockaway one, you had this rooftop apéro. And I know that is a huge part of the culture. I myself am drawn to a little bit of a snack, a little bit of a wine. I mean, listen, it can happen at any time, afternoon, but maybe late morning on the weekend.
We prefer Sunday nights because they're smooth and, it's still the weekend and in the early evening. And that's what we did at the fabulous Rockaway Hotel in the Rockaways that you may be familiar with. We have a beautiful rooftop overlooking the ocean. So everyone gathered after the cleanup there for a glass of Souleil and some bites, some light bites, and we really danced all night because all evening because a friend of mine came with his band. They happen to be his family. It's Charles Harper from the New York Brass Band. And they performed on this rooftop at sunset. We were drinking Souleil. It was ideal. A fantastic memory.
I mean, listen, this wine, summer, music all go together. Paint me a little picture of the soundtrack when you're sipping and snacking. What do you have on the stereo?
I promise, but you should come to the next one. We're going to do it again next year in the Rockaways.
I'll be right there. I'll hop on a plane. Well, listen, everything looks so bright. The future for Souleil looks fantastic. What are you hoping to see with the wine? How are you hoping to grow? What's your ultimate goal? I know it's a friend project, but when a friend project starts in a place like this and has such natural success, it's hard not to think about the future.
Yes, of course. And we have, plenty of ideas. We're still brainstorming. Our importer asked us if we would consider doing an orange wine for the line. Why not? We're in the midst of thinking of what's next for the brand. And we also want to continue to partner with the nonprofits that we've been partnering with, because this is really important to us. We want to be in several countries that sort of reflect the Souleil, the Souleil, ambience. And we are in the Balearic Islands, for example, in Spain. We're in Mauritius. But we're in other places where they also have a coastline and that are perfect for Souleil. It's not huge quantities everywhere, but the Netherlands, Belgium.
You're like, where do I want to go on vacation? Do they have a beach? I can clean it up. I can write that off. It all works together, right?
That's a way to put it.
Yeah. Well, listen, congratulations on everything. If people want to get the wine or to follow along or to see the designs, where can they go? How can they get involved with the brand?
So we are very well distributed in the US. You can go to our website. A lot of stores are listed and restaurants. If you're in New York, for example, you can go to Convive Wines, but there are like many other stores. If you can also order the wines from wine.com, depending on the states where you are, or you can, sip on a glass of Souleil Vin de Bonté Le Rosé or Le Rouge at Benoît, Alain Ducasse's bistro in New York, for example. And you can always reach out to us if you are in a specific location and you're looking for the wines. We'll be happy to answer your message on Instagram.
Yeah, and I can tell you right now, they shipped to California because it wound up at my house. So.
Fantastic.
Well, listen, thank you so much. It's so good to see you. Thanks for coming back on the show, and looking forward to enjoying more of the wine soon with some friends.
It was such a pleasure. I hope we'll have an occasion to celebrate with a glass of Souleil together.
A lot of beach out here in Los Angeles, so you just let me know. We'll come clean up here. We have another song from the archives, and then a live performance from Sonny and the Sunsets here on Snacky Tunes on Heritage Radio Network.
My name is Brandon Hoy, co-owner of Roberta's, a super duper awesome place. Roberta's is a very, 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 very proud sponsor of the Heritage Radio Network. We're also super awesome. Thank you, Heritage.
Sonny, welcome to Snacky Tunes, coming all the way from Greece. I think you're the first conversation we had with anyone from the motherland of antiquities.
Yes, I'm happy to be that first person, the pioneer.
Just real quick, what's your meze life right now? You late lunches, a little black coffee for breakfast. What are we talking about?
Close. My wife and I have made it our agenda to just try as many beaches as possible on different islands. We're just in search of the most magical water that the planet has to offer. So our itinerary is sort of, I'm even keeping like a Greece water chart for future reference of what the beaches are like, what the water is like, what the currents are, and the salt, and all the things. It's getting weird, but it's fantastic.
I mean, I have fond memories of being on Skiathos and eating Grecian uni out of like a little shack, and I wish I'd kept any sort of log because maybe, but you couldn't pay me to make a map and how to get back to that one location.
Yes. Yeah. It's just, the water is so amazing. I think it's like the water in that movie, in the pool in that movie Cocoon.
You feeling younger and younger every day?
So I don't think I look younger, but I'm taking like bigger and bigger dives off the diving board. Yeah.
Now I knew you grew up around water because you grew up in the gorgeous beach seaside community in Bolinas, California. Isn't that right?
Somewhat. I officially grew up in Fairfax. My parents, I was born in Bolinas, but my parents were actually just kind of what you could do back then. You could just kind of live on a houseboat one year and then live in the city one year and then live in Bolinas one year. So they were kind of itinerant within the Bay Area. But close. I definitely was like a West Coast, NorCal child.
I mean, it's such a beautiful area and so idyllic. And I know the new album, Self-Awareness Through Macrame, is inspired a lot by California, and it just came out a few weeks ago and definitely captures a bit of like this endless summer California vibe.
Okay.
What did you want to? Why did you want to put that into an album? Why did you want to make that sort of the central theme for what you were focusing on for your latest release?
Well, I don't know that I consciously wanted to do that. I get this question kind of a lot, like, why did you decide to write such and such? And my process, it's not like that. I'm kind of in the dark most of the time when I'm making songs and such, and that's where I should be. I'm just kind of, I don't know why I'm writing things in my notebook that I'm writing or playing the chords on my guitar that I'm playing. I'm just kind of going with whatever's coming out, and there might be a point sometimes about halfway through a record where it starts to reveal itself for what it is, and then I might apply a little more conscious movement towards that direction. So if I happen to be writing more countrified type of songs, which I do, because I'm on a country kick and I'm listening to country music, or for whatever reasons it's coming out that way, it's not until I'm like 5 or 6 songs in that I'm like, okay, I'm making this kind of, this music is what's happening, and then I apply maybe a little more conscious effort to making more of it, to sort of fill out a record and have the record have some sort of consistency, from beginning to end. So it's kind of the long answer to your question, but
No, I
short
mean, it's
answer,
interesting.
yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say to have the themes reveal themselves in the first part of the creative process, and then to
Yeah,
go with
I
those
think
themes
that's
that have
how.
been established in the second part. Do you find a difference in like the first and the second batch of songs, or do they wind up getting shuffled together in the final track listing or arrangement?
Yeah, shuffled together, and it all sort of tends to seem like it. Well, it seems by the end like it was a conscious effort, just like
Mm.
just like a novel or a movie or something. If you ask a novelist, like, why did you set out to write this book about, he might, maybe there are some novelists that had it all figured out from the beginning. John Steinbeck was going to be like, I wanted to follow the, migrant workers from Oklahoma. So but I think I don't, so I don't mean that doesn't exist, but I think for a lot of art, it's, it has to be a process of sort of discovery at first and not knowing what you want to make, and sort of, you're sort of, if anything, you're kind of pulling away, conscious artifice and looking for more what's really real, and as you sort of uncover that, then the art is revealed. Does that make sense? The sort of,
Absolutely.
yeah.
No. It's just I like to believe that there's stuff out in the ether that's changing all the time, and when you sit down for your creative process in that moment, some of that what's out there is what you latch onto and you pull it in and use it as inspiration, even if you weren't aware of it when you were starting.
Yes, that exists. It's kind of
All
like,
right.
I've called it, you're kind of like an archaeologist of the subconscious. You're sort of digging around for what's real.
Yeah.
It's
No.
hard because
It's
there's a lot of crap in your mind you have to kind of get past to get to get to the real.
well, the worst thing is when you realize that crap in your mind is also crap in other people's mind, and you're like, oh, I got to get through a whole bunch of stuff that's being fed to me before I can get to my own good stuff.
Yes, that is very accurate sometimes. Yeah. It's tough.
All right, let's hear a song. First song you're gonna play for us is "Waiting." What's the story behind it?
This, I was kind of observing my teenage son during the pandemic. There was a lot of downtime in his room. Teenagers are already sort of absconding off to their rooms anyway, and then the pandemic heightened it, and I just was kind of observing that perhaps him and his friends were processing the pandemic kind of like like it was a timeout, and they were kind of waiting for action to start up again. Maybe teenagers weren't alone in that, but that happened to be what was happening in my household. So I think I started kind of just writing poetry about that. And he also was into fashion and making, and sewing things. Him and his friends had like sewing machines, and they're making stuff during the pandemic. And so that's why there's kind of lines like, have my needle and I have my thread. I'm making my exit clothes in bed. So it's kind of like he was in his room. He was, sitting in bed a lot, doing Zoom classes through high school and sewing. And it was kind of a time of waiting, I guess.
Yeah. Well, here we go. Sunny in the Sunsets, waiting live here on Snacky Tunes on Heritage Radio Network.
I am waiting in my room, getting my space down in tune, waiting for someone to come. I have my needle, I have my thread, I sew my exit clothes in bed, waiting for someone to come. I am waiting in these streets, waiting on these tired feet, waiting for someone to come. I have my empty space radio, I am waiting for my UFO, waiting for someone to come. I am waiting in these streets, waiting on these tired feet, waiting for someone to come. I have my empty space radio, I am waiting for my UFO, waiting for someone to come.
Welcome back to Snacky Tunes. We're here with Sunny of Sunny in the Sunsets. And right before the break, you mentioned the pandemic and how that inspired waiting. Obviously a lot of music that's coming out now was either inspired directly during the pandemic or the time after. And while that's a year or two ago, or even 3 years at this point, some of those themes and feelings still feel so relevant today. Why do you think there is like this hangover of emotion from that era?
I don't know. I mean, I would maybe speculate that it's not so much a hangover. It's just that we're we're still processing things, and we're so used to immediacy in this world that when something takes longer, we're like, geez, why is it taking so long? But maybe 2 or 3 years isn't that long to process such a worldwide global, shutdown event. So it might be creeping into songs and art for decades to come. I don't know. It certainly has still had a lot of impact on me because coming out of it, I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but there was there was almost like a surge in expectation of just getting right back into regular life and being productive.
Oh yeah. Yes.
And
Yep.
All of a sudden it went from like, a drought to like just this sort of geyser and of to-do list stuff and obligations and some of them were, maybe things were waiting to do, but other things were like, whoa, I my plate was overfilled the last couple of years, way more than pre-pandemic. So there was some sort of domino effect, or I don't know if that's the right metaphor, but sort of sometimes when there's traffic and you can't see why, and it's like the ghost of an accident that was already cleared up, like 2 hours
Mm-hmm.
prior, but there's
Yeah.
still this weird sort
Vibe.
of vibe and this weird slowdown where the accident was. you know
Mm-hmm.
um Feels like that in society right now. It's like we're still backed up or something.
Yeah, I think when I was listening to this album and reading about your music, you tap into this undercurrent that seems to exist in California because you hear like folk music in California or country in California, like, oh, it's going to be like happy and things like that. But I've lived here now for so many years that there is this like darker current or story that runs throughout the state that you seem to be able to tap into at times. For people who
Well, that's
don't
my
live here,
oh
like, no, I was gonna say like you tap into it, and I think it's like you do a good job of capturing for people who may have never spent a good amount of time in California, and just wanted to know like why you're drawn to that side of this area.
well, saying dark things through sort of feel good music
Uh huh.
is like
Mm-hmm.
my favorite kind of art. It's my and it's my favorite kind of music. I mean, and many people did it to great effect for me. From Helter Skelter to half of
Yeah.
reggae or whatever. Almost everything that
Mm-hmm.
Bob Marley ever sang. It's like it sounds like something you want to dance to and makes you feel good, but the message is can be quite dark or cutting. That's my favorite kind of art. So that's why that. I would also say, having spent some time on the East Coast, and um, California has a way of sort of being positive on the surface. Everybody's kind of nice on the surface and kind of jagged just below the surface and a little treacherous.
Mm-hmm.
The East Coast has a beautiful way of being really honest on the surface. People tell each other to screw off and stuff, but there's like maybe slightly under the surface. It's actually sometimes more brotherly in my
I totally
observation.
agree. Oh yeah,
So, so,
100%.
so as a product of California, total product of California, maybe there's something to that in the way I make music that can be kind of fun and saccharine in some ways, melodically, but like carrying kind of a darker tale or message. It
Yeah.
could be something that could be Californian. I don't know.
No,
Um,
I feel it. Let's hear the song. Apropos, I think the next one is called Shadow. What's the story behind this track?
yeah, well, that's a perfect example because
Yeah.
it kind of talking. I mean, the first line is sort of a warning that there's a darkness coming. Which I
Mm-hmm.
do
Mm-hmm.
believe in a way. I believe there's some kind of global trial is coming, or perhaps it's honest. I don't know. It doesn't mean it's all bad. It just means that it's going to be uh, an interesting time that's going to demand a lot of um, change from people. But so it shadow kind of starts with that, and then it sort of morphs into shadow being a positive thing, almost being kind of like your best friend. The shadow follows you. It's always there for you. It's always there till you die. It's kind of the maybe one things in this journey in life that is with you from the beginning to the very end, just like your breath or something.
Mm.
So it kind of it kind of starts as an ominous warning and sort of morphs into embracing it as a positive.
I love it. All right, well, here we go. Sonny and the Sunsets playing Shadow live here on Snacky Tunes on Heritage Radio Network.
See a darkness coming our way, not quite black, nor dark gray. Easy to spot on a sun-filled day. It stretches out as the day fades. Shadow stays close till I'm dead. Sticks around when I'm up to my neck. Shadows stay close and don't pass me by. Slid into light when I die. Shadow, 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 shadow. Shadow, 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 shadow. Gloomy times, lonely, shadowless days. I may walk alone, but I'm unafraid. A wandering dog with no home, or just a shadow of a night ghost. Shadow stays close till I'm dead. Sticks around when I'm up to my neck. Shadows stay close and don't pass me by. Split into light when I die. Shadow, 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 shadow. 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 Shadow, 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 shadow.
Welcome back to Snacky Tunes. We are here with Sonny, and we opened up the show with the song Pink Cake, and it's rare that we have a literal song about food. And I'd love to hear, after all these years doing the show, you think you'd have more, but I'd love to hear the story behind it. And, it's such a great visual, and the title itself brings a vision to mind, but what was the inspo behind it, and what made you want to turn that moment into a song?
Well, this song, interestingly enough, is just a collage of overheard sentences that I heard. I overheard somebody talking about how their mom got them a pink cake, but they weren't. When they got home, the cake was there, but their mom had to go out, and then they had to leave, so they had to eat the cake like in the cab. And so I was just thought that was kind of funny because it was like this perfect, beautiful gift and thoughtful thing that just got turned into chaos, and was kind of cheapened by not being able to eat the cake with the person you love or whatever, and eating it in the cab. And then I overheard. I've written a couple songs of things that I've overheard, but I overheard somebody say it was this. They were like, "I know I'm a burden," I know I'm a burden, but I'm so uncertain. I have so many
Hmm.
questions, and I was like, that is a great, I love that line. So I wrote it down and turned it into the chorus. It's kind of, um, it's not an autobiographical, literal autobiographical song, but it did capture kind of a feeling that I've had at different times when I've been feeling kind of sad, sackish, and
Mm-hmm.
and not at my best, and just feeling confused in romance or just in life, and feeling like a weight or whatever, and so the lines that I overheard, I just felt kind of drawn to them, and that was one of those songs that the lines just I almost just writing them down verbatim, and then they practically in chronological order, and then they fit right into the chords that I was messing around with, and I thought, well, I'm not going to question this song. It's
Mm-hmm.
come together too seamlessly. So,
But also tapping into that theme, going back to the pandemic stuff, but this idea of wanting to have an experience with someone and then
and then it's just
having
getting
to
obliterated.
ultimately, yeah, just having to do it on your own is just talking about pulling out a theme out of an overheard sentence that fits into like what you've been working on, and it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, yeah, and I think those kinds of magical things happen, which is crazy.
Yeah,
Um, when you're like I said, when you kind of don't know what you're making, um, is kind of the time when the most magic happens, I think. And because that's kind of when you're the most receptive to, whatever you want to call it, ancient, you know, spiritual messages in the ether or whatever. Um, when you don't know what you're making, your sort of antennas are opened up to receive. And so I think I tend to receive really magical things at that time. Once I kind of know too much about what I'm making, it's almost like the whatever the fishing nets are starting to close, because all of a sudden you're
yeah.
looking for something very specific, and then that's quite hard. That's like looking for this puzzle piece rather than being receptive to just everything. So both situations happen, but that's why it's like the longer you can stay in that uncomfortable place where you don't actually know what you're making or what its purpose is, the more magic, the more lightning you're going to kind of capture.
I mean, yeah, you never know what you're going to capture and how it's going to inspire you and what it's going to turn into. And as you look towards the immediate future, I know you're island hopping in Greece, but with plans to return to the state in California, do you look forward to a bit of a homecoming and coming back to at least where you spent some of your youth and finding out what's happening back in this place where you grew up?
No.
You're like, no thanks, America.
I mean, I don't see myself. I don't see myself in any way particularly, but I'm not saying that I want to be a expatriate or whatever people are called that leave America, but I don't feel any. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind living in Greece. I've been
Yeah.
looking at ways to do it for somebody who doesn't have much money to throw around. I don't feel a real need to stay in America or stay. Besides that, my mom and dad are there, and my kids going to
Sure.
college, so I don't have to shuttle home quick to raise my son. He's off at school now, but like, yeah, Can I live here? I would love to. If you guys want to help me.
I mean, listen, just look, tourism's big there. I think you can start busking. Maybe maybe you could run music boat charter island hopping company. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming. But
There's a lot of like sort of houses were that are kind of, they're not ruins, like official ruins that you would visit,
oh
but they're
yes,
clearly like
Italy
they're
did
kind
that
of like
too.
they're just kind of half built stone houses
Yeah.
that look abandoned. I could easily just squat in one of those for the rest of my life. And
Yeah.
just
I listen,
I mean,
like
it
maybe
worked
you
for
bring
Leonard
your
Cohen. He would, like,
yeah, he did it. I mean, listen, you wouldn't be the first American artist to escape America and then turn that. I mean, imagine what you'd be able to capture in that sort of, if you tap into that like vein of history and tradition of just being an expat creative in Greece
yes,
or anywhere in
let's do
Europe.
it.
Well, listen, I want to make
Great.
sure we have enough time for one song, but if people want to get the new album, if they want to see when you're going to hit the road or get any merch or check out any of your other albums or reissues, you have so much great work. Where can they go? How can they follow along?
I find Bandcamp to be the most artist
Love them.
favorable of
Yep.
all the places you can kind of go these days. So, Rocks in Your Head Bandcamp is the place I usually send people. And besides that, the internet brings you. The internet figures gets everybody there.
Yeah, I
People
agree.
sort of figure out where to
Where to
go.
find. Where to find. Yeah, you just sort of like go to the internet and however you internet yourself, that works for you. So last song we have, I believe, is called The Application, which you might be doing for Greek citizenship sooner than we think. But what is the story behind this song and the meaning of it?
Well, this one was a couple records ago, but it's not on the new one. But
yeah,
it was just a very kind of like a little, comic book tale, filling out the application to become a human being, and the the lady that is handing out the application just puts it on a stack with all the others, and then go out onto the street and you think your phone is your pack of cigarettes and your pack of cigarettes is your phone, and you're just a big mess. You're just not quite handling handling things, because life is hard, and it's hard sometimes to feel 100% present and human and all that stuff. So it's really a song about that, and not too much more really. I think at some point in the song, the character kind of stops. He just wants to fill out the application to not be a human being or not be somebody's uh, in a relationship, just to be completely free of all of those expectations. So the song kind of comes full circle by the end.
I love it.
I would like to fill out an application to not be anything. It's a great application to fill out.
Just the boat captains checking out the different waters of the world.
Yes.
Sonny, thank you so much. Big shout out to George for helping set
Thank
this
you,
up.
Gio.
And here we go. Sonny and the Sunsets live on Snacky Tunes on Heritage Radio Network.
Filled out the application to be And I lit my telephone and answered my cigarettes. Started to laugh because I saw something sad. And I hope my papers go through. I hope to hear from you soon. I filled out the application to be her man. I signed my name so hard I nearly broke my hand. I lit my telephone and answered my cigarettes. Started to weep because I heard a joke. And I hope my papers go through. I hope to hear from you soon. Oh, I hope my papers go through. I hope to hear from you soon. I filled out the application to be released. I won't say it's been a drag, no, but I'm looking forward, can't you see? 'Cause I'm sick of eating my telephone and answering my cigarettes. I'm sick of these weird tears from my heart. And I hope my papers go through. I hope to hear from you soon. Oh, I hope my papers go through. I hope to hear from you soon. Oh, I hope my papers go through. I hope to hear from you soon. Please don't write it red ink on my application, honey baby. Please don't write it red ink on my application, honey baby. Please don't write it red ink on my application, honey baby. Please don't write it red ink on my application, honey baby.
We talk about food, we talk about music with musical dudes. Finger on the pulse, snacky tunes.
Snacky Tunes is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. Keep in touch at heritageradionetwork.org/subscribe.